Good afternoon or morning, ladies and gentlemen, great agents from across the country. Today is August 10th, 2017, and this is Mastermind call number 138. Amazing, we've been doing it that long. Few ground rules. We always have all of our new subscribers on these calls, and I know we always have a good number of veterans also, but nothing is off limits. Please, we want your participation. It's an open forum. While it's an open forum, in the interest of being able to hear each other, we have you all muted out. So at any time, just hit *6 and hit 1, and then we'll put you in a queue one at a time. We want to hear what you need help with. We want the call to be about you, and we want to hear your success stories. I'll just start by saying there's a really interesting trend that we've seen. Things seem to run, in streaks, and we've had 15 people in the last 30 days that had previously been with us, and for one reason or another, they went away, and now they've come back. And the recurring theme I keep hearing, which is really interesting, is, they either got little or no business in the few months they were with us, and then they dropped out, and then in the meantime, they've gotten like 3, 4, 5 listings. And the reason I mention it is I always share with agents. They always ask me, what can I expect from this? And I always tell them, if you get real lucky, we've had agents that got 5 listings their first month, but there's also a lot of them that it takes a while to get going. There is a cumulative effect to this. So the more you do it, not everybody's ready to do something right away. And I know I had one that they put my letter away and called me 18 months later. And Chad, I think you had one you got 2 years later, right? When you were doing
24.
Yeah, 24 months. So stick with it, guys. It will pay off if you work the leads and you work the system. It will pay off for you. And we really thank and appreciate all the people that have come back. I'm sure there's a number of them on this call.
Yeah, for sure. And the people who have been doing this for a year or 2 or 3 that have been with us. They experience what we did. Like you don't even know where the listings come from. Sometimes somebody calls you and says, "Hey, I got the letter. Come list this house. I'm ready to deal with this. Come take it off my hands." And Bill Bird just the other day, he had I think it was like a $1.5 million, $1.6 million listing. It was a come list me call in a super competitive market. Didn't even know which list it was from. But he has stuck with this and been consistent in executing on what he said he was going to do. In the first year, I think he made, I won't state his income on the call, but an exorbitant amount of money, more than he's made with any other lead type, because he was consistent and he had a long-term view on it. And it's no different than any other lead type, really. I mean, the cash conversion cycle on these leads can be a lot quicker, but you still have to look at it at a minimum of a quarterly basis. And before you say, well, that doesn't work. And I think that's what we're seeing is everybody's coming back. They're like, well, I said it didn't work, but I just made a pile of money. I wish I wouldn't have let off the gas. So.
Yeah, you mentioned Bill Bird. What I really respect about him, he's been with us for over 2 years. He's in one of the toughest markets in the country. And I know when he got started, he did absolutely nothing for about 4 months, and then the 5th month, he got like 9 deals, and then he went another 6 months without getting anything. It came in streaks for him. He said he's got.
Yeah, but now he's probably doing 6 deals a month, 6 listings a month.
Wow.
All above $1 million.
Yeah, I remember something he told us on one of the calls. He said, "I've got a pond in my front yard, and every time I send a letter or I make a call, I feel like I'm stocking the pond. Sometime in the future when I drop my line in there, I'm going to get a bite. I'm going to hook me a fish." So, not that we're calling these people fish, but you get the analogy. Tom, you're back. Chad, anything
yes,
you want to be? We have one person in the queue, guys. We've got plenty of room for more participation. So please hit *6 and hit 1 at any time. And Chad, anything you want to share before we get to our callers?
Yeah, I want to point back to last week's call. If anybody is on this week that didn't make it last week, it was the first of a perpetual series we're starting, where the first mastermind call of each month, we're going to try to bring somebody from a related industry that is more experienced than we are. So we had the director of the American Society of Estate Liquidators, and we spent probably the first half of the call hearing from like the authority in the estate sale industry and how we as real estate agents benefit them and what challenges we present for them and how we can do a better job and how they can do a better job. So if you weren't able to make that call, you can find the recording in subscriber portal if you click on conference calls on the left and then access call archive, or you can go to our Facebook group, All the Leads Mastermind. Scroll down the wall and on the discussion board, it's Mastermind call number 137. But really good call with a lot of great content from somebody who's far more experienced than we are in the estate sale industry. Kind of, just from the horse's mouth. So if you weren't able to make that, and you're commuting sometime this week, take a chance to listen to that call.
And Chad, I want to add to that. Oh, go ahead. Finish up. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say on probate. So August Probate Mastery, I announced earlier in the week. The dates are this coming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, from 2 p.m. Eastern to 3 or 4-ish, depending on how interactive the group is. It's a live group training. We use GoToWebinar so we can video record everything. You can, use that to train your staff, refer back to. And if there's any alumni on the call that would like to take Probate Mastery again, we do have a couple people in the class that have had it before. If once you've taken Mastery, you can always come back and kind of refresh without paying again. But to register, you can check your email from earlier this week or go to in subscriber portal under Education and Training on the left, click on Probate Mastery, and you can get the full details of what we cover. Sign up there.
Excellent. And I was going to say, to add on your remarks to last week's call, I had a gentleman, one of our subscribers, that called and added a couple counties this week. Dennis Malonis, if you're on the call. But he did, after the call, he hung up, and he had already done a few deals in a very short period of time, but he called an estate sale company that said, yeah, as a matter of fact, I've got a deal for you. Give these people a call, and he got the listing. So
nice.
I wanted to give him kudos. If he's on the call, Dennis Malonis, I'd love it if you'd come on and share the story live. I'm sure you can add more detail than I did. All right, well, excellent. Thank you, Chad. Take Probate Mastery if you haven't taken it, especially if you've been with us a while. It's going to make you a lot more confident and give you that extra knowledge that's going to, make you that much more successful. Tom, anything you want to share from a customer service perspective?
Nothing specific today, Jim. Just always let everyone know that if they need anything from us, they can always contact us by phone or send us an email at support@alltheleads.com. We track those, and we make sure we respond as quickly as possible.
Excellent. Tom is a partner, and he's also our account manager, customer service person. And we're trying an experiment when you sign up, because, calls back and forth and realtors are busy. We're going to start transferring you directly to Tom so he can make sure you spend an extra 5 or 10 minutes and really get off to a strong start. We just started that a few days ago, and that's going very well. Tim, I understand you're on the call. Anything you would like to share, sir?
I just want to kind of quickly update people in regard to the obituary program. We've got leads have come in. We are taking a long look at them before we get them out, and don't despair. We're getting you some information out. You can expect to hear from me before the end of the week with a quick update.
Excellent. All right, perfect. Well, we have one person in the queue. Benny, I hope you have a very long question, or I hope we have some more participation, guys. Please, we've got a tremendous turnout, as always. Just hit *6 and hit 1, and you'll be up next. Nothing's off bounds. Nothing's off limits. Please participate in the call actively. And let's go to our first person in the queue. Phone number ending in 7298. I hope you have a long question or a lot of them until someone else jumps in.
No, you know what? This is my first time being on this conference call, so I really hit the 1 by mistake. To be honest.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, but I've been in real estate a long time, and I have done some probate sales in the past. And matter of fact, me and the wife is trying to work on one right now as we speak, for us the listing side of it. But nevertheless, I'm excited that if I can get the leads and get something generated on a consistent basis, I think this will be a very successful program for us moving forward. But I do have a question, and I know when I talked to you initially, you also said you sell your leads to investors. Now, as an agent that's trying to list, I guess I'll be competing with an investor also. And I really wanted to stay out of the areas where the investors was at. Is that a good idea or a bad idea?
Probably a bad idea. I'll let our coach answer that in detail. Chad?
You mean, so a couple of questions there. So you're saying staying out of the areas. You mean geographically? Like just...
Well, I mean, yeah, geographic, wherever the investors buying the leads at or purchasing the leads, I don't want to be in that same area where they.
So most realtors, I won't blame it on the realtors. There's a disconnect in the industry between investors and agents. And most people see an investor as a competitor. I see an investor as a complement to your real estate business. So every realtor should know multiple investors, and every investor should have multiple realtors they can trust. And that's a big part of what we teach, and you shouldn't be afraid of each other. It's two completely different businesses, and maybe you share the business, maybe you just send referrals and you know you'll get listings from those investors, but it's just not the reality doesn't match up with the perception. And it's in every market in the country it's this way. But if you learn to coexist and cooperate and help investors, they'll do the same for you. And so it's kind of a mindset thing. I mean, there's going to be people that you as a listing agent, if you don't buy houses yourself, you're going to be a disservice to them if they need to sell really quickly. I bought a house yesterday in 2.5 hours, and there wasn't a damn thing I could do with my realtor hat on. And I had literally 2.5 hours, and they overnighted the deed to me today. So I couldn't help him as a realtor. If he would have called me 6 months ago, I could have. But he lost his father, his sister, and his brother within 3 months. So there's a place for the investor. So embrace it. Don't look at them as competition. I mean, it's two different types of business. You can benefit from both if you know the investors, but you can still get the listings even if you don't know who your competition is, if you look at them as competition and don't even know who they are.
Yeah, Benny, okay. We teach an investor, a realtor, you should have an investor on your team. When investors call us, I always tell them, go find a good realtor, because it's really not, it's not a tough decision. Their circumstance is going to dictate which one they need. In other words, the people that have some compelling urgency, I had one time, by the time Dad died, they were 2 years behind on the mortgage, and they were about 3 weeks away from foreclosure at the courthouse steps. They didn't have time to list it. They needed an investor. You're going to have people that say, Mom died, we got to get Dad in a nursing home, we need the money like tomorrow. That's you have to have an investor there. Those type of situations where there's some compelling urgency, you're not going to be able to talk them into listing. The other the other ones where there isn't, they're not going to take a 30% discount. So I always tell investors, now there will be some of these people that will not want to take a big discount. They'll go ahead and list, and 3-4 months later, if the property doesn't sell right away, they get tired of putting money into it, and their situation might change. So when I'm selling to an investor, I tell them, find a realtor that will have your back. The ones you don't buy, refer to an agent that will list it, and if the situation changes, he'll get back with you, and you're going to be the only investor that buys it. So, or at least the first one they come to, in order to buy it. So, no, it's a symbiotic relationship. You guys can work together. Don't feel like they're competition, because probably 10% of these are going to be great buy and flips. The other 90% are going to be motivated listings, and their situation's going to dictate which category they fall in, not who happens to knock on the door. Does that make sense?
Okay. It makes sense. I didn't think of it that way. Thank you.
Yeah, and one more quick question for you. When you were doing this before, how did you come across them? Were they people you just bumped into? You said you've done a few of them.
Word of mouth.
Okay.
Word of mouth, because we are well known in our area, so just word of mouth. Yeah,
I think until we came along, the only way you could do it would be if you happen to know probate attorney who referred them, or you happen to know somebody who died, or if you wanted to go spend the day or two at the courthouse, and even then you didn't get phone numbers. So glad to have you. Appreciate your participation. Any other questions, or are you good?
I'm good.
All right, we have one more person in the queue. We got room for half a dozen more, guys. Please hit *6 and hit pound, and you'll be up next. In the meantime, phone number ending in 5698, you're up.
Well, hello. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I hope this is a good question. I'm not sure, but I got a call from a probate paralegal, who asked me if I could help her sell timeshares. That she has a lot of timeshares and gets a lot of timeshares, and she used to have a contact in my area. She got the letter because one of my letters was handed to her by one of her clients, and I really don't know a whole lot about timeshares, so I was kind of hoping either you guys kind of give me a little anything you know about it, or if anybody's on the call that has worked with timeshares could maybe pass on their number to support, and maybe I could get back with you offline.
So are the timeshare, I'm assuming the timeshares are in your home market?
Yes, I live around a bunch of timeshares.
Okay. And are there resale companies already existing there?
Well, I'm literally on vacation this weekend, and I've been researching it, and there's places you can go to that you can get online, and you can put your name in and say, what's my timeshare worth? You want to buy, you want to sell, you want to give it away, you want to cease from ownership. So there's those kind of companies, but I don't know where they are, and I don't know, they're all just on the internet as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to see if there's anybody out there that's got experience that might be on this call that I could go back and forth with.
Well, I came from the whole ownership resort industry. We did luxury condos, not timeshare, but in two of the markets I've worked in, the Smoky Mountains and in Maui in Hawaii, that market, like the local market, there was usually a broker or two that would actually specialize in timeshare resales, because I mean it's a niche in itself. If the opportunity was big enough, though, I mean, if they're going to give you a steady line of referrals and these people are motivated to get whatever they can out of these timeshares, it could be a neat pillar to add to your business, and you could become that specialist locally in the market. Because if you're not finding anything local, you're hitting these big national websites, then probably so are they. And somebody local.
Look for a local company. That's number one.
Yeah, and I would say if there's a ton of local companies there, then it may not be worth it. But if that opportunity exists for you to be, I mean, you got to take a look at it and say, do I want to be in the timeshare resale business if I have a steady flow of free referrals? If the answer is yes, then I would look and see, who's my competition? How many brokers are doing this? And I may even sit down and talk with them and say, what's been your experience? This seems interesting to me. And see what you can learn about your industry locally, from the competition. But I think you got to decide if that's the kind of business you want to be in. It's a much different business than whole ownership, because one of the big challenges you have is you need to understand the resort and the amenities, and you're probably not going to be able to show the property before this time next year. You can typically only show those during that block, because if you think about it, someone owns every block of the year, and you can't go showing real estate during someone else's vacation block. So there's distinct challenges with selling that kind of real estate. That's why most people go back to the developer and sell it back to them. But there is an opportunity for resale. You just have to learn how to do it correctly.
And I was going to add, whether you do it yourself or you just find a really good local company to refer those people to, make sure you get back with that paralegal and make sure if you're able to help her, just say to her, I'm sure you get other types of properties too, I'll be glad to help you with this, but would you refer me any others that you get? She's
yeah, that's a good point. I meant to say that. So when you meet with that local timeshare resale broker, if there is one, if you don't want the business, set him up and just say, listen, just pay me a referral on these, and I'll keep them coming your way. And I would stay as the intermediary. I would tell her, listen, I actually partnered with an expert, and he's on our probate team now. So just send them my way. So you're the middleman, like you see the referrals before, you're actually sending the referrals to him. That way you solve the problem for her, you created a little income stream for yourself, and you got him a bunch of business that he, wasn't getting. So everybody wins, and then she's going to be like, wow, this guy's sold like 15 timeshares. I'm going to give him this whole ownership referral, the primary residences. So just don't just say no, even if you don't want to do it. Still find a way to get those sold for her, because she needs that done, and she'll respect that, and that will earn you a lot of future business.
Okay. Hey, Brad, isn't it also probably true that if she's calling because you got she's handling probate stuff, there may be some interesting time pressure to get these timeshares sold at a pretty ridiculous discount that they may be real bargains, and you may find there's an opportunity to sell them and turn some quick dollars doing that. I'd find out what kind of timeshare she's got.
Yeah, I would say that if a family has already made the decision not to keep the timeshare, there's no emotion attached to it whatsoever, and it's a discount industry. Resale timeshare doesn't, it's not. They're not selling for what they paid. They're going to take a hit, and so they probably just want rid of it. It's just find somebody to buy it. So they're not going to be big dollar amounts, but if you're in a timeshare heavy market, the volume can make up for that. They're probably highly motivated to find a buyer for that.
The referral thing, I think, is what I thought about after I spent several hours going, wow, I don't really know what I'm doing here. But if I could learn
and that's probably your best route. So just consider that person another player on your team. It's just like an estate sale company or a contractor. He is your timeshare. He is your probate timeshare specialist.
So let me ask you one more question. So what is it that I look for that I find a reseller? Give me those words again so I can write it down. It was like, how do I differentiate some national firm that's just out on the internet versus, that's where I guess I just don't know anybody in that industry.
Google sell my timeshare and your town.
Okay, I got that. I found all those. We're good. All right, well, you know what? I'm going to let you go to the next caller. Yeah, by the way, she said I get hundreds of them, so that's what intrigued me. So appreciate it.
Yeah, in 5 years, that's the first time we've had a timeshare question, so thank you. It was a very unique question. And remember, you might normally take 6 or 7% commission, but you can set your own commission. With something like that, if you did handle it, I would definitely have a minimum commission. You don't want to touch anything for under, a couple $1,000, $1,000, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a percentage. It can be just a flat commission rate. Make sure it's worth your while if you do handle them. So
I got you. That's a good idea. Thank you.
All right, excellent. Thank you. All right, next up is a familiar name, phone number ending in 1138. I think that's Marcus. You're up.
How you guys doing?
Doing great. How about you?
Man, I'm doing good. Just trying to stay systematic with this, and I had some questions. So I get that some people are just nice and friendly, and then they just hired somebody a week or two ago, and some people on the phone are just right when they hear that it's anything to do with the probate, I'm not interested.
Marcus,
I'd like
let
to check in with.
Let me just preface. You're in one of the most highly competitive markets in the country, and I think you were the one a couple weeks ago that shared with us how great you're doing with attorneys, right? Just stopping by the attorneys. Was that you?
Stopping by, I'm switching the role, doing them, and
you're breaking up. You're breaking up a little bit, Marcus. Are you on a headset?
Hello?
Can you hear us now? Go ahead.
I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead. You were breaking up there for a minute. Say that again. Whoops, you're breaking up again. Got it.
Hello?
Let's give it a third try. Go ahead, Marcus.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect. Yes, sir.
Huh. All right. So, yeah, meeting with them, and then what I'm doing is after meeting with them, making a connection, and then I'm going to start a mailing sequence that goes out to them. I figure mailing an attorney before meeting with them is just probably not the best energy.
Right.
So that's going really well, and I'm making good connections, and now it's just about making the follow-up and keeping that connection going. I think you guys said in the past, start calling up with random questions. Hey, I got this going on, and just kind of show them that I'm active and be interactive. And then I'm going to send them like a nice acknowledgement letter, like, hey, it was nice to meet with you. What I really got out of our meeting is that you put clients first, and that's what I was trying to determine by meeting with different attorneys. So I got a follow-up letter that I'm working on, and then I'm asking them to take and look at the same letters that I'm going to be mailing out to probate folks, personal representatives, as to get to know me and my team.
Perfect. And then your question, I kind of preempted your question today. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Follow up.
And so the question today is, in making the phone calls, I'm getting shut down. I made some distinctions in the script that had people listening and actually before just hanging up. And so I'd like to run that by you and see if there's any feedback you can give me. Is this a good time for that?
Please.
Okay, got it. So, Jim?
I want you to do it with Chad, our coach.
Okay.
Deflected.
I like to put you on the spot, man. You've done this 1,000 times, so go ahead.
Okay. Hello, Chad?
This is Chad.
Hi, Chad. This is Marcus Hines. I sent you a letter. I sent you a letter a few weeks back, and it was regarding some people and some resources that we have that have helped out other families during a probate and did a really good job for them. And I was just checking to see if there's any resources or any help that I could offer you.
Marcus, we've gotten so much mail. I don't know, man. I got to run. I'm on my way to a dentist appointment.
Got it. And just to be clear, it was resources around different aspects around probate. We've got a team here in the Bay Area, so
we listen, man. We've got a probate attorney. It's handled.
Got it. So a probate attorney is one of the resources that we offer. We've also got handyman contractors that can help you fix up any home. Estate sales specialists.
Marcus, man, I got to go, man. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, that's kind of.
So I imagine that's what you're hitting, right? Like I was being pretty rough on you.
Yeah, that's well. Some of them are really.
But you
nice
never got. Listen,
Yeah.
You never got to my emotions. You never got to me. You never told me, like you told me about, listen about my business. Let me tell you about my business. Let me tell you about my business. You did a good job trying to turn me back around. But I would encourage you to weave some questions in there. And, you know, I gave you a slow pitch and said, you know, we've got an attorney. And you kind of engaged with me there and you said, yeah, that's one of the things we do. What you should have done was painted the picture of what the attorney doesn't do, can't do, or won't do, and how that makes you different, how you step up and shoulder responsibility to help the attorneys out. And by the way, I probably know your attorney because I've met with almost every one of them in town, and we work together. I consider them on my team too. So find ways to you've got to dig out you in order to get their attention. You've got to figure out what their pain points are, and if they're not telling you that, if they're being closed on, like if they're closing up on you, then you need to present them with solutions they might not have thought they needed yet, and in any way you can do that. The other thing I would say to you is when you went on script, you went from like casual, comfortable, fun Marcus to I am a professional real estate agent, Marcus, and I am here to tell you about my company. Like, get casual, man. Like, people, you did not feel comfortable when you were doing that. And that tone is so important on the phone. Like, you know, it's in person. 90% of our communication is nonverbal. And even in verbal communication, the way you're presenting yourself is about 90% of it. So get comfortable and be like, you know, imagine that, like, think of your most fun client and how easy that transaction went. Why'd it go so easy? Because you guys had good rapport, right? And it was just easy to talk to them. And be that Marcus. So loosen up a little bit, take a little more casual approach, joke around a little. If people are being like, if you're switching them off, then change your temperature and joke with them, play with them. But questions are good. You know, if we back up and you say, and I hit you with, well, you know, we've got an attorney, Marcus. He's taking care of everything. Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. So, do you think that, you know, he's going to come out and do a good job of selling your home, or is that something that you've thought about? Or have you talked to him about what's the strategy and the timeline for selling your home and making sure all the personal property is donated? And then they're going to go, well, we haven't talked about that. And it may occur to them at that point, oh, he's not going to handle everything. Or you could take an approach of, okay, well, listen, I understand a lot of our clients feel that way, but what they find is the attorney actually doesn't manage much of the process. It's all on your shoulders. They're good at giving advice, and it's your responsibility to do the work. And where we come in is we take a lot of that responsibility and do a lot of that work. So is that dentist appointment really happening, or you got 5 minutes to talk?
Yeah.
But just talk more about them and their situation than your business. Once you build, like the first, until you have started to build rapport and you have two-way dialogue happening comfortably,
yeah,
you don't even need to talk about your business because they're not listening. So you gotta let them know, the purpose of your call, but don't go down through, all the bullet points until you know they're listening to you. And I was still shutting you down pretty abruptly.
Yeah, so I got their list. Go ahead. So I got that, and just to recreate you is, as soon as they share something, ask good questions around what they share, what they did talk about, and then find their emotions, find out what's not going on so well that I could be of access and help towards without just offering business ideas.
Yeah. What's okay? Well, listen, I understand, but we talk with a lot of families, and I've yet to meet one that hasn't come across a big challenge. And I just wondered what's been the toughest thing for you guys so far, and has the attorney done a good job and resolved that for you?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of hard not to engage with that, right? Like, what's been the toughest thing about this so far?
Yeah, that's not a yes or no question. That's an open-ended question that requires an answer. That's good. Marcus, let me tell you this. One thing I will say is, man, you've been with us a very short time, and you are working this program. I can tell by the way you show up and ask good questions. You're in a hyper-competitive market, but you're still going to do very well with this. So
you'll do great, man.
You are. I have no doubt you're going to do great with it. Go ahead.
I appreciate you guys, and you guys are good because being in the listening of who you're speaking with so much to where they want to listen to you is exactly the way I train my agents. And this is a little new for me, but I just got to bring me, and like you said, and bring fun. And you guys are very acute listeners, so I definitely appreciate the training on top of the leads as well. It definitely is probably worth more or just as much or more than the lead. So I appreciate you guys.
Oh, thank you.
So I hear you. So this week when you talked on the phone, you're wearing like your phone tuxedo. Go put your phone Hawaiian shirt on and give this a whirl and call us back.
I'm actually going to do that physically. That sounds like fun.
Hey, Marcus, have you taken probate? Have you taken probate mastery yet, Marcus?
I did do the mastery, yes.
Okay, good. All right, so you can take that every month because you'll probably get something new out of it every time. But
okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, anything else we can help you with this week?
No open-ended questions. What do you think about the beginning of my script, and then towards the end, just no open-ended questions? I speak with a lot of families, and so just questioning, what's been the toughest so far for you?
If you're like, and I think it's been maybe 3 weeks ago, I told you to be pretty abrupt and try the interruptive approach. Because what you were hearing when I'm pretty sure that was you, right?
Yeah, you gave me something.
Yeah. So just give them, shock them with something. Like, hey, this is Marcus. I've got a team here locally. We work with families going through probate, and I'm just curious, what's been the toughest thing for you guys so far?
Okay.
I mean, how do you not engage with that conversation? Now, you might get, it's none of your damn business, right? You might hear that, but you got two-way dialogue now. I understand how you feel. Most of our clients felt that way until they found out why we were calling. You got 5 minutes? Like, if they're being that abrupt, try doing that too. Put your Hawaiian shirt on. What do you got to lose? I mean, you already don't have that business. So the worst case scenario is you don't get the business. Best case scenario, you make them laugh, you get them engaged, and you earn the business, and you help them out in the process. So just like I said back, 3 weeks ago, man, just keep trying until you figure out what works. I mean, Bill Bird up in Marin, I think you and I talked about him on an offline conversation, but for 4 months we went through this because the culture is similar as what you're going through.
Yeah.
And we finally figured out what resonated with people, and now he is running 95% of his business off of this. And they're big numbers in your market.
Do you have somebody in the Bay Area that's a different county, like that guy in Marin, that I can chat with? We're in different counties.
Yeah.
Can you link us up?
I can send you his phone number. Send me an email. It's chat@alltheleads.
Okay.
And just as a reminder, and I'll send it to you.
You got it, my friend. Appreciate you guys.
All right, you
Yep.
too, Marcus. Thank you so much.
Right,
One more person in the queue. We do have room for more. Just hit *6 and then hit pound. In the meantime, phone number ending in 0226. You're up.
Hi, this is Wayne in the state of Washington.
Hey, Wayne.
Hey.
Welcome.
I'm new to the program. I've got maybe 90 days under my belt, and unfortunately, I've done nothing. So, my question is, how would you suggest that I get started? Give me maybe the first 3 steps that you would recommend.
Log into subscriber portal. A window will pop up when you do the fast track training. Have you done that yet?
No, hang on. Subscriber.
So you go to alltheleads.com.
Yeah.
And then in the top right, there's a blue button, subscriber portal. And you'll use the email address and password that you gave Jim when you signed up to sign in. A window will pop up that's like just a short kind of orientation to the technology and how it works. And then there's a series of 3 training videos. It's a total of 38 minutes to get through the entire training. It literally walks you through step by step what to do and in what order. And if you follow that video training, you'll be pretty much ready to go. There's always something to learn, but that training is designed to, ideally in your first day, have you kind of oriented and knowing exactly what it is you need to do.
And by the way, Tom is our customer service person, and it's kind of his job to make sure everybody gets off to a good start and is successful. And he just Skyped me and said, if you want to either tell us your name or email him, tom@alltheleads.com. He'll set up a private training call with you to make sure make sure you're on make sure everything's in place and make sure you understand the best way to get started.
Okay, that's Tom at alltheleads.com.
tom@alltheleads.com, and he'll get right back to you and set up a private call.
Okay, that's great. I'll do that.
All right. Anything else?
Do you have a number for Tom?
Just do the we all have so many various numbers. I promise if you hit tom@alltheleads.com, he'll call you back. I don't know what number he's on today. I don't know if he's on his cell or his landline.
No, that's fine. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We get asked that a lot. We try to stress that. If you haven't watched those fast track videos, Chad has done a remarkable job of cramming a ton of material into 30 minutes. And I mean, you can spend 30 minutes or you can spend 2 hours, depending on how deep you want to dive. And they're in nice bite-sized segments. So if anybody else on the call has not been through fast track video, and maybe even if you have and you feel like maybe you're missing a step, go back and go through that again. It's worth doing a second time. All right. Well, we have one more person in the queue for now. Phone number ending in 4733. You're up.
Hello.
Yes, sir. That's you.
Okay, great. I wanted to compare the budget I have had currently with purchasing leads from Zillow, for example, right? And I'm spending $1,000 a month on Zillow, to get leads. And if I parked, say, that budget into your program, how we could compare. One of the problems with Zillow, with a 1,000-day promise, basically I'm getting 8 to 9 leads a month for $1,000.
Wow.
Good Lord.
You know,
and you've got a 50-to-1 conversion on those, right?
Yeah, and as you know, we have a high failure rate in our business in general anyway, correct? And one of the ways to counteract that is to come up to bat more often. The problem with the Zillow is not that there's a failure rate, but I'm just not coming up to bat enough to statistically be able to filter out an actionable client, right? So my question is, so let's say I kick those guys to the curb and we park that budget more. How many? I'm in Sonoma County, and it can be in the area. How would that compare as far as the number of leads that could be generated for $1,000 to $1,500 a month?
Sure. And
so here's an example. So at a 2% conversion rate, which is being generous for that lead type, it's going to take you 8 months to get your first deal at 8 leads a month. So that's $8,000 per deal for those leads. Sonoma County is, I don't know off the top of my head, but Sonoma County is getting probably around 20 leads a month, 25, because
Chad, between 20 and 37, so say 25 on average.
Okay. At the same conversion rate, it's going to take you 2 months to get that lead or to get that listing, and it's going to cost you a fraction. Like probably, I'd have to do the math. One thing that I want to point you to: go to alltheleads.com, and since you're not a subscriber, go to blog in the top right.
Yeah.
And one of the most recent.
Yeah, I took that 1-week class, so I'm a graduate.
Okay. So
of the program.
do you have the probate ROI calculator that I made?
I'm sure I have it somewhere. I don't have it in front of me, but yeah.
But if you go to alltheleads.com blog and then look, it should be near the top. It's one of the recent posts. You can plug your real numbers into that calculator, and most people are experiencing like a 1,500 to 2,000% ROI in common markets. You're not in a real common market. Your ROI is probably going to be ridiculous because your sales prices are high. Bill, who we talked about on this call a couple times already, he's in Marin County, and he has 3 counties for a total of 45 leads a month, and he's cranking out. He's in the top 5% of real estate agents nationwide based on volume, off of 45 leads a month.
For 3-county area, what's the budget that you would need for something like that?
Probably $1,200 a month for leads and mail, at the most, to work those 3 counties. I would have to look. Our pricing's not, it's each county can cost differently, but you figure,
one of the other issues is that with these sites, Zillow and Realtor.com, I mean, those are the 2 largest ones. You have an extremely high number of looky-loos, people really not looking to do anything, and they get commingled. Basically, a lot of garbage gets commingled into the system. What I find, this is theoretical on my part, I don't know if it would be true, but it seems people in the probate space generally, even if they're asking for a reason. They're not there to ask questions about probate because they're looking to entertain themselves, which you get a lot in these.
I was going to share with you. You are exactly spot on. This company was actually born about 5 years ago. I was at a real estate convention, and we had a booth there with my wife's short sale company, and I saw all these lead companies popping up, and I kept hearing the agents complain about paying so much for basically just people that happen to visit a website. They're people that visited a website that may or may not want to do something, and they're heavily on the buyer's side. And it's really kind of what gave me this idea. Probate could not be any more different. These are almost all on the seller side, and these in 95% of the cases are people that are not local and just inherited property that they weren't planning on owning. So it's really apples and oranges as far as your conversion rate and for your motivation. And these are actual warm bodies that have an interest in doing something. not somebody who just happened to visit a website. And that's
Right.
really the difference. And it's kind of our challenge to convince people that we're not like all the others. And to be honest with you, that's one of the reasons that we have never required a contract. We've got a lot of confidence in our product, and you're welcome to try it, for as long as it takes to be successful. So we'd love to have you on board. I appreciate good question. And anybody else on the call that hasn't used that ROI calculator, if you're an existing subscriber, it's fun to play with. Go on there and put your numbers in and just see what you've done.
Yeah, and there's a video with it, so it kind of explains what the numbers are and how to use it. We added it. If you are a subscriber, you can just look over on the left under education. There's the probate ROI calculator. But whether you're just getting started or if you've been doing this, it's really encouraging to plug your numbers in and focus on the conversion rate. So even at 2%, so there's 2 in 100 people that will do business with you. Your job is to find the 2, not to complain about the 98 that didn't, because people are going to list with people they know. They're not going to sell. They're going to transition it to a rental. They're going to sell it to an investor. But there's even at 2 or 3 or 4%, you're going to make a ridiculous ROI compared to other paid lead types.
And Chad, on the other side of that, if you might be lucky enough to be like Bud Thompson in rural Arkansas and get 15 leads a month and do 3 or 4 deals a month. I think he's cranking out about 20%. So those are the two extremes, guys, somewhere between 2 and 20, depending on your market and how efficiently you work the leads. But great question. Anything else we can help you with, Marvin? I think it's Marvin, right?
Oh, last name Marvin. Oh no, that's it. I'll go on the side. Well, I gotta cut off those guys and make the fine. I did the course with you guys, and then, to be honest, I got distracted with that system, and then I tried another one, and my wife's been yelling at me saying you didn't go through with it, and I'm a card-carrying member of Procrastination Club. So.
Well, tell your wife she's a very astute person. She's very perceptive. And
okay.
And give me a call when the call's over. I'll get you signed up, buddy.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You got it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. One more caller in the queue. It's a familiar name. Phone number ending in 0883. You're up.
Hey, Jim. How are you today?
Welcome, Jim.
Thanks.
You're a regular. You're a frequent caller, frequent participant. So thanks for participating. Go ahead.
Oh, you're welcome. I was on the queue earlier, and then I was showing a house. I had to get off, and it's crazy. But anyway, I was talking with Jim the other day. I am also going to be going to later to Baldwin County, Alabama, and Gulf Shores, Orange Beach area. And Chad, you may be the one that will know the answer to this, but there's going to be a lot of second home owners in the Baldwin County, Alabama area. When someone dies that does not live in that state, but it's their second home, is there a way that I will be able to get hold of their contact information?
Well, if they die in your county, that's where the probate will be filed. So if that's their primary residence,
all these are going to be secondary residences.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're in the second home market. Sorry,
right,
I misunderstood.
Yeah.
Well, if the probate is filed in your county, you'll obviously, you'll get to see those. If somebody was in New York and they had a second home in your county, probate will be filed in New York.
Right.
Now, we do have a product called Probate Plus that we're just about to wrap up on testing. And what we're going to do is look at where they own real estate in all 3,143 counties. So we'll be able to catch even those out-of-town properties. We'll be able to catch with that program.
Okay. Well, let me know when that. I'm still, months away from even contemplating going to another area, but that would be a good thing for down there.
Yeah.
Excellent. And Tim, you had something you wanted to add also to Jim's question?
Well, the only thing I was getting at is that if you're in a market, as you said, where you know that there's a lot of absentee owner, it's snowbirds or whatever you're dealing with, and they're in and out, that ownership may actually be held in the other state. But the thing that is likely to happen or typically happens if the heirs are not familiar with the market, they're going to start dialing for dollars either to a real estate agent in that market, or they're going to look for an attorney in that market because they'll think there's a bunch of paperwork they've got to deal with. So the other thing I'd suggest that you do is focus some time and energy on an attorney campaign in that market, and go find the attorneys that are handling a lot of the probates in that market. They're likely to get that phone call because they'll be the local person that might look to handle that, and they need an agent to work with. And if you can be that guy for those people, you're going to get them by default.
Okay. That would also be a good place probably to push our probate website even stronger with the Google and stuff. So if someone goes online looking for that, get a little bit stronger down there than maybe in a different area.
Yep, indeed. That's certainly a good idea as well. But again, you got to put yourself in the position, and Chad had said this earlier, you got to put yourself in the position of the folks that are dealing with those properties. They may have made the decision that, we need to get rid of this property pretty quickly, and they don't have the same emotional attachment to it they might have to, the first home that they may have grown up in or whatever, and they're going to need to move quickly. So it becomes something where if you go to that attorney and you not only are a good real estate agent to deal with this, but you've got an investor or two in your back pocket, you can turn it quickly. You're going to make that attorney's life a whole lot easier.
So, Jim, I've been churning this through and challenging my own answer. In the event that someone passes away, they owned real estate in more than one state, but it didn't contractually transfer, meaning they didn't hold they didn't hold the property in joint tenancy. It's like how most husbands and wives would hold property.
Right.
In that case, there has to be an ancillary probate. Like they have to probate the estate in the home market. But because that property was kind of left out there, it didn't contractually transfer. It does have to go through probate to be transferred. Like, so for example, if a husband and wife owned a second home, but it was just in the husband's name or an LLC name, and he passed away, then the widow would have to probate his, any assets they had in the home market. But that condo that was held by the LLC or just in his name would have to be probated. She would have to get a copy of all the probate docs and file what's called an ancillary probate in that market. I don't know how common that is. I think that most people who own second homes probably are, they're on the savvier side of things and probably hold property in joint tenancy. But in the event that they didn't, there would be each market would need to be probated if the property didn't have a contractual transfer that helped them avoid probate in that state. So you could be getting them on the leads that we're giving you.
Okay.
I don't know how. I mean, you could probably pick those. I don't know how you can differentiate those from primary residence local probates. I mean, obviously the PR mailing address will be out of state would be the easiest, the most likely way that you could differentiate. But I don't know. I'm always surprised at how recklessly most people's estates are. Well, how most people don't have an estate plan at all. Like things were just done incorrectly. So you might find that half of that market might be out of state like ancillary probates.
That's I've got 95 leads or so coming in Shelby County, Tennessee, and but there the population is not the population of Tennessee, and leads are I think it's 180. So that could be the reason is that the second home market could be pushing the number of probates per month there.
And Jim, by the time you're ready to do this in a few months, we'll have Probate Plus. So between the two of them, you should be able to cover that county very well.
All
right, sir.
Sound like a plan. You guys
have
a great day.
Thank you. We really try to keep these calls at an hour to respect all your time. We've got about 3 or 4 minutes, and we do have one last person in the queue. Phone number ending in 3908. You're up.
Hey guys, it's Sam from Richmond, Virginia. How are you?
Sam, I'll always make
Sam.
extra time for you.
I promise it will not be a long question, but this is just
okay.
something that came up this week that I was interested in, and I think Chad might have a good answer for me. I talked to a PR who's out of state. She is a PR for her sister, and she lives in North Carolina. And there is a house, there is property that needs to be handled. And she told me that the attorney that she spoke to here in Virginia told her that she had to wait a year before she could sell the estate. And I know, or before she could sell the property. And I can't find anything to back that up. I mean, I know it's not. Yeah, I know it's not true.
So what she may have heard, what he said and what she heard could be two different things. We all know that, right?
Right.
What he probably said, and what you said is what she heard. What he probably said was you can sell the property, but you can't, like, you have to essentially season the funds. Like, the funds are supposed to sit in escrow for a year before the distribution can happen. However, there's a very simple affidavit that we use that essentially they buy a bond, and I'm trying to think of what the name, the type. It's not a fidelity bond.
Surety bond.
It's a surety bond, I think. So you simply pay, like in my market, it's usually $400, and that's what the title company uses to release the funds. So in theory, the funds have to sit for a year before they're distributed, but that bond will basically eliminate that requirement.
Okay.
That's probably what was discussed, and she heard, I can't sell the property.
Right.
But there's nothing. I mean, I've done tons, and I mean, I'm in the Commonwealth too. So there's nothing that would prevent any seller from making the decision on their own to sell the real estate. It's just at the closing table, they'll have that affidavit, and they'll sign and pay for the bond, and that comes out of your closing proceeds on the settlement statement.
But that's interesting because this is, we've done other ones. This is not the first one that we've done, the first probate that we've done. And it's even, is that just because she's out of state that she would have to get a surety bond? Because I've never heard that.
No,
it's
been on all of mine.
Okay.
Your title company may have overlooked it, but it's been on all the ones that I've done.
Okay. Okay.
I would. I mean, it's a good question. It's a good question. There's no day like today. I would call the title company and say, hey, on this deal that we did, did you guys release funds immediately, or did they have to get a bond to release funds? That's what I would do, and look back at those closing documents and see if it was done or not. But
okay.
That's how we do it in Roanoke.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much.
Excellent. Great call, guys, and we kept it right at an hour. We used to limit these calls to 30 minutes, and thank you so much for the participation, guys. Great participation, great questions, great ideas. I always like to end these calls by thanking everyone. You took an hour to be here today, and challenging everyone. Take one idea, one thought, one thing that inspired you from today's call, and go out and put it into practice, and come back next Thursday and share your results with the group. Thank you so much, guys. Make it a great week, and we will talk to you same time next Thursday. Take care.